the left desperately trying to keep January 6th in the headlines, the left's favorite rhino, Liz Cheney, also Adam Kinzinger, opened the hearing with a 10-minute monologue of what we're going to hear, none of which we actually heard because none of the people were actually truthful and under oath in that time. The entire premise of this hearing is that there was somehow a coordinated attack perpetuated by Donald Trump and the members who invaded the Capitol building in the riots. Wonder if there was any type of collusion there. Joining me now, writer for the Daily Caller, Kay Smythe herself, and Dow Jones Market Watch columnist and New York Times bestselling author Ellis Hennigan. Okay, Ellis, going to go to you first on this one. There's not a single mainstream Republican that has not yet condemned the riots at January 6th. Nobody has said, yeah, that was okay. Nobody said that. Yet the entire Republican Party is somehow being accountable for 200 fools that went into the Capitol. Why?
Actually, Carl, a lot of Republicans are diminishing the importance of this, pretending it was just a bunch of tourists who gathered. But listen, let me say this to you. Congressman McCarthy has got to be kicking himself right now, don't you think? Because by refusing to cooperate, participate in this important investigation, he's kind of forfeited the right, really, to complain about the results. You know what? You should have joined the process instead of sitting on the side and refusing to participate, and then maybe you'd have some input in it.
Okay, but didn't Jim Jordan try to get on this panel and he was denied access?
Yeah, exactly. I think this whole thing is, look, I'm not sitting here and I'm never, ever, ever going to condone the actions of everyone that rioted on January 6th. I just think it's really interesting, Carl, that we can watch the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. We can watch the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. I don't know why that was aired. I just thought it was so disgustingly tasteless. We can see the January 6th hearings, and, it's going to be in prime time. Oh, isn't that amazing? And yet we haven't heard a peep about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. And I'm sure that there are countless others that we should, as a general public, have access to. I mean, the other thing that kind of concerns me about these hearings is that there was about $1.5 million worth of damage done on January 6th, which I think is, kind of a little bit less than the $1.2 billion that was incurred by the BLM riots, yet no one's being held accountable for those. Why are we having these hearings about January 6th, but we can't have the same kind of accountability when a targeted organization attacks pretty much every major city in the country? Yeah, that's what's confusing me. It just seems a bit hypocritical, and it just seems a bit one-sided.
It's interesting, though, that they didn't air any of the trials for any of the people that were charged with a number of things like felony trespass. But Ellis, one of the Capitol Police, who, by the way, is still on active duty, he wore a shirt that said the definition of insurrection on it. Okay, I wear a tie when I go to the Capitol, but he wore a T-shirt. That's okay, I guess. How many people have been actually charged with insurrection, and why don't they just call it what it is, a riot?
Well, it's a handful at this point. But Carl, do you guys really not understand why this is important? I mean, you can't measure it by the physical damage. This was a group of people. Seriously, try to get our heads around this for a second. This was a group of people who, in a very violent and aggressive fashion, stormed the Capitol, demanded the head of Mike Pence, tried to overturn the results of an election, threaten the lives of our elected representatives, and most important of all, undermined our democracy in a way that it has never been undermined.
Hold on.
I don't think there's any undermining.
Hang on. Hold on a sec. They went back and voted in 2 hours after this riot. They didn't undermine democracy. It was a riot. It was bad people. And you had said that there were mainstream Republicans that had not condemned this. Who are those people?
Well, listen, I'll send you a list, starting with the President of the United States, who has repeatedly acted as if these were wonderful patriots. He complimented them in his very first tweet about the event and has continued to this day to diminish the seriousness of this. Is that a good name for you?
I don't think he's diminishing the seriousness of it. No one is doing that. All we're saying is, why is this country just falling so one-sided in accountability? It's just blatant hypocrisy. Why is it that we're having hearings for this, and yet no one from BLM is being dragged for the George Floyd riots? No one is getting in trouble for that.
But Donald Trump did condemn these riots. He came out in a video from the Oval is condemning them, Ellis. My question...
You didn't hear when he called these American patriots and good people who were storming the Capitol? Did you read that?
He actually sent that tweet out around the same time that he said, peacefully and patriotically march down there and make your voices heard. Right.
That's a good argument.
That's Ellis. The problem is I've asked you for a person who has not condemned these riots on the, but he did. So you're wrong.
I just gave you one.
Okay, I'll give the last.
Look, Carl, I'm just going to basically restate what I've been saying this whole time. Why don't we have greater accountability? Why is the American public only presented with one side of the argument? I mean, I just thank goodness for NewsMax and for everything that you guys do, because if it weren't for this network, we wouldn't know half of what's actually going on in this country. And that's typically the half that the left don't want us to see. No one is condoning the actions of those who rioted on January 6th. But what I would like is further accountability for people who tried to burn down our cities. And I'm going to bring her up again. I think we needed to see the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I do not know why that was.
You're on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Hey, folks, I got to go. Ellis Hennigan, Case My spirited debate as always. I wish we had like 5 more minutes to do this because we could get into a lot more. Appreciate you being here.
See you guys.
All right.